Good morning and welcome back to another video, and today we are going to be going over the molten core. Let us begin. Okay, so today when we're going over towards the molten core, what we're going to actually be doing is we're going to be going for a few keynote items. Number one, make sure that you have a miner. Number two, make sure that you can actually get out of the dungeon pretty fast. I'm using my druid and we're going over towards Lothos Riftwalker. Within here, all you're going to be wanting to do is go towards Blackrock Mountain, where you can either get here from the Searing Gorge or from the Burning Steps. Once you are actually here, speak to Lothos and then jump all the way into the actual raid. What we're then going to be wanting to do is just make sure that we actually go into our cat form for a second, and we're going to want to take out these molten giants. Now, generally speaking, we're only going for a specific type of molten giant, but you can slay all of them, as to be quite frank, I enjoy doing farming all of them myself. Now, along with all of that, I will actually go on and say that you can get quite a hefty amount of decent items. You get a hold of some of the old school tier items from some of these mobs. I believe it's the braces and the belts that you can get alongside this. Now, with these molten giants, what we're looking for is the molten destroyers. So if they're called molten giants, they're not going to drop what we want. However, we're going to be wanting to make our way around and doing it all of that way. Now, one thing to mention when you're actually farming up the molten core is if you are wanting to take the risk of trying to get a hold of the item, the Orb of Deception. This drops from the last boss Ragnaros at a 0.2% drop chance. Now, theoretically, we can always farm this up 9 times with our miner, as we're going for farming up Dark Iron Ore. Now, Dark Iron Ore actually goes for a decent amount on its own, as if we go over towards Dark Iron Ore, it's 18 gold currently per item for that particular farm. Now, this is dotted all around the instance, and there is tons of mobs that are actually surrounding these actual nodes, but realistically not that much of a problem. We just need to take them out and keep going. When you're actually farming this up, you have a chance of getting a hold of some of the old school world drops from this actual raid, so just be prepared for that you can actually run the chance of getting something pretty dang awesome. What I typically like to do on a weekly basis is to actually run into here and just farm up any of the trash mobs for the Dark Iron Ore, which is dotted around the instance, and taking out the Molten Destroyer Giants. Now, this is because the Molten Destroyer Giants have a chance of dropping an item called the Blood of the Mountain. The Blood of the Mountain sells for stupidly high amounts of gold and can be farmed up most easily in the molten core. It's used in a load of different high-end crafts, which I probably would suggest you actually do, like the Hammer of Sulfurous. And along with that, I run this 9 times by taking out the trash only and mining up the nodes for Blood of the Mountain and Dark Iron Ore, in which I will use my Dreamwalk ability to portal in and out of the instance. This gives me the maximum amount of Dark Iron Ore that I can get a hold of, and then on my last run for the week on that, once I feel like I've gathered up enough, I will then go for a full clear for the Orb of Deception. The Orb of Deception goes for a decent chunk of gold on the auction house, and I always love trying to run it all the way to the end for Ragnaros, as it just gives me a good chance in order to actually get a hold of that item after I've gathered up all of the materials, which I know the materials will sell, and then I will run the chance. These Molten Destroyers are no different than the Molten Giants. You just need to look at the name tags, and then if they are lootable, then you may have a chance of getting that Blood of the Mountain. Along with that, when it comes towards farming all of this up, you need to slay all of the bosses in order to actually be able to summon Ragnaros, so just be prepared for that. And along with that, farming this up is just one of those things where it just takes little to no time at all, and it's quite easy and laid back gold farm in order to actually do. You're basically running it for a chance of getting some decent loot, along with that Blood of the Mountain and the Dark Iron Ore dotted everywhere. However, I did actually manage to finish my quest line for Thunder Fury Blessed Blade of the Windseeker, which you have to farm up Gar and Baron Geddon for the bindings, and then finish up the quest line. However, I did it on a character that doesn't actually know how to use a sword. So they've got a sword, the legendary sword, but they can't use it. which is a bit of a pain. But other than that, that is basically the gold farm. It's really that simple. You just run in, take out all of the trash mobs, reset, and then just mine up all of the ore, go out, reset the instance, go back in. And if you want to do it on your 9th run to finish off for your 10 runs per hour, then you can go for a full clear for the Orb of Deception at the end of the raid with Ragnaros. Other than that, if you want any additional gold making resources or video guides, then please feel free to go over towards the Patreon. Other than that, have an awesome rest of the day, and I shall see you in the next video, which will be soon.